Hey, how you doing? Hey, today I'm going to give you a little update here on this one saw I'm finishing up, but I got some parts in for the Homelite 410. There's been a lot of suggestions coming in, so I figured, let's take a look at some of these suggestions and let's see what kind of mods we could do and see if it's going to be practical at all. So we're going to go through some of that stuff as well. But first, let me show you this saw that I'm getting ready to finish up. All right, here she is. Homelite Super XL Auto, built for Bodie. YouTube channel is the Novice Lumberjack. Or I believe it's Novice Lumberjack. I think he got rid of the part of his name. So there it is, though. Seals finally came in. It took like 10 weeks to get the seals. Well, the seals for the clutch side. So, they finally came in and I got her together. Let me flip her around for you. Yeah, there she is. She's all assembled. I got to do all the heat cycling yet. She's got a brand new piston in it. So I got to do a bunch of heat cycling and stuff before we can put it into wood. But I figured I'd give you this little update. I got a 20-inch bar on it. Freshly sharpened chain and everything. So she should cut wood pretty decent. But, we got to do some heat cycling. It's going to take a little while till this thing gets completely broke in. So, we're not going to get to see this thing at its full performance until that time comes. So, we got a lot of breaking in to do here. But let's go ahead and get into this Homelite 410 project that, we're working on building a hot saw, sort of, I guess you could say. And we've had a lot of suggestions come in. So I've got some parts sitting here and we're going to take a look at them. Alrighty. All right. So are you ready for this madness? So you got to keep in mind, this is the saw that I'm building. It's a Homelite 410. This is the intake. This is where the carburetor, all the airflow would go into. Now I was originally going to go with this setup here. This is, a reed block that bolts onto here, would come out to this elbow, and, this was the setup I was originally planning. The difficult part is getting this block mounted to the saw. As you can see, she's quite large. She doesn't line up, So that's the issue I was running into. So what I found is, I found this reed block. Well, as you see, she's shaped differently. So this will actually go in there. But this hole is just a little too wide. So I would have to bolt a little plate on here to narrow this width up so that this reed block could go in. But getting this mounted would be a lot easier. And that's why I decided to go with this one. All I would have to do, as you see, the two holes, I would have to bolt, get that drilled and tapped for those two holes to fit that reed block. So this is the one I'm planning on going with. But there's been a lot of suggestions come in about carburetors. You see, this is about the size of a normal carburetor for a chainsaw. I was looking at possibly using one of these. A viewer sent me this one. Now, I have another one that they both have some issues, but between the two, I should be able to get a good functioning carb. But I've had a lot of people to ask me to go bigger than this. They want to see a monstrosity on here. And they're talking about one of these guys. Yeah, now, these are Snowmobile carburetors, and I have 3 of them. Each one's a different size. This is the biggest one, this one's in the middle, and this is the smallest one. So I would probably go with the smallest one possible, just because you can see the Venturi there. This one doesn't really have one, and this one is something else. but I think I would go with this one because it's got the smallest venturi and the way it bolts up and everything. So even the bolts are different between them. You can see that one is bigger than the other. So I would be going with this one if we go this route. So that is a Snowmobile carburetor. She would take some work to get that on there. I do have a rebuild kit. So this is the rebuild kit for it. So I could go that route. Now, I've got other parts here as well. Like this is an adapter plate. This is basically I can't think of what to call it, but this is made of like a material to help insulate the carburetor from the heat of the engine. So to help keep the heat away from the carburetor, you know, that way the heat doesn't just soak through all the metal and get into the carburetor, you know what I mean? That's what this thing's for. So, you know, I got a lot of different pieces here. So what this would have to do is I'd have to have the reed block. I'd have to have it mounted on there like so, right? But I was looking through all these parts because I'm going to have to use a lot of these different parts that I have here. This, I would have to get this guy bolted on. As you can see, the square opening, she's supposed to go like this, but I'm going to reverse the flow through it. So I'm actually going to push the fuel from the other side here. This is the side that I'd have the carburetor on. So this would have to be bolted on. You can see the bolt holes like so. And then I'd have to redo this whole area here because I'm going to be moving fuel from this side. But this adapter plate is meant for one of these larger Snowmobile carburetors, as you can see. So I couldn't use this to get it bolted together. You can see how easy it would be. I just have to drill and tap 4 holes, you know, and use that adapter plate and I'd have it on there, right? But I feel like this carburetor would be too big. So another method here is to use this here guy, get it drilled and tapped to go in place, and then take this carburetor, bolt it on, because that adapter is meant for this, or that their insulator plate is meant for a carburetor this size. And then, hang on, I need 2 hands for a second here. And then we'd have our little velocity stack. So there it is, all stacked up in a sort of a monstrosity here. So I'd have to get this guy bolted down through into this plate, get that plate bolted onto here, get everything opened up, and get it all mounted to the saw. But here's the thing, is that going to be too much carburetor? That is a lot of carburetor in my opinion. So I would be moving a lot of, or I would have to have the saw itself moving a tremendous volume of air in order for this to work, right? So we're going to probably have to do a lot of crazy porting in order to get it to move this volume of air. Now, I don't plan on running gas, so that might be beneficial. If I run gas through this, I have a feeling it'll try to push too much gas and just basically flood the saw out. I got a feeling that's what would happen. But, you know, I am planning on taking it to methanol first, which, you know, methanol requires, you got to move twice as much fuel. So, you know, this carburetor should be able to handle that without any modifications. But then eventually I plan on taking it to nitro, which you got to move like twice as much fuel as that on top of that, or maybe even more with nitro. So, you know, there's a possibility this carburetor might actually be our solution. I was thinking originally to go with I'd probably end up with a 395 carb, but I wanted to try one of these, see if I could get it working. But I had a feeling I was probably going to end up with a 395 carb. But now we got this setup here. This is a Snowmobile carb setup on the reed block and everything. So I've had a lot of people say that we should try this. So that's what we're going to do. Whether it works or not, we don't know. I'm going to have to get crazy with the port work because of the amount of air this thing's going to be able to move. I'm not even sure what I'm going to do yet to the port work. The machine work is done. So this actually went over to Briscoe for machine work, and it's already back. So I actually sent this and the P70 over, and I just got them both back. So we're ready to start working on building this saw a little bit at a time. But getting all this mounted up and figured out and on there, and then I got to figure out some sort of a throttle setup for it, you know. She's going to take some time. So, you know, I've had a lot of people say about trying one of these Snowmobile carbs. Now, this is actually missing one of the ports here. It actually takes one right here as well. Let me show you. See this carb? She's supposed to have another port here. I'm not sure what the third port is for. I think it's like a return flow. I'm not 100% certain. I'm just guessing there, but I think it's return flow. So whatever unused fuel or whatever gets pumped back to the tank. I think that's what it's for. Now, this carb here is actually in the best shape, but it's bigger. And you know, if you look down in that Venturi area, she's a bit larger than this one. So, you know, you can kind of see there. So I'm going to go with the smallest one. We'll see what happens. These are Walbro carburetors. As you can see, they all three are. Just each one's a different model. And this one here that I'm going to end up trying to use is WRD3. So that's what we're going to try. This is going to get a little crazy on me, I think. We're going to see what happens. Now you can see there's only the screw here for the low adjustment. The high speed is actually up here. I don't know why they have the two. Like this one here, if you tried to put a jet in there, it wouldn't go in. It actually comes off of this one here, and you can see how it runs all the way through. But I'm pretty certain that's the high speed adjustment right there. This is the low speed, and then your idle. But besides that, it's this would be the impulse. That'd be our fuel inlet, and I believe this would be our return. So, yeah. We're about to go down a rabbit hole, I think. But I'm going to have to do some work here, get this thing rebuilt, work at getting everything bolted together. I got to do some JB Weld work in here to get things smoothed out, make a little plate, get the cylinder on and ported and piston and everything. We got a lot of work here to get this all up and running. So be patient with me because we are moving right now. And, you know, it might take a while till you actually get to see this running. So I'm just going to tinker with it a little bit here and there in some free time, which I don't have a lot of free time right now. So, you know, some of my free time I'm going to use on getting saws broken and so forth. But I thought I'd kind of give you this little update on this Homelite 410. She's quite interesting now, isn't it? She's getting a little crazy. So, yeah, I think she's getting a little crazy. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to see if we can run a Snowmobile carb. I couldn't tell you how many people messaged me, emailed me, and everything about trying to run a Snowmobile carb. So we're going to see what happens. Let's see what, you know, see if we can pull it off. I have methanol that we can run. So, you know, we can at least try it out with that. We might even have to set up a reserve, like a second tank for purging. Like it's going to be weird, I'll tell you, getting this thing up and going. But trying to get this thing on nitro is going to be a whole adventure itself. And then the pipe, you know, I'm looking at building a pipe I'm not planning on running a normal exhaust on this. I'm talking a complete custom built pipe specifically for this saw. So, you know, we got to get down that adventure as well. But hey, there's a lot of work to do on this one. But a little update on this one. I do have another one of these 410s coming. So, you know, I'm planning on building it into a normal style firewood saw. So we will get to see another version of this type of saw as well. So we're going to see, you know, the normal firewood build, and we'll get to see me trying to blow it up. So, hey, we'll catch you on the next one. Later.